Everybody,
how are you doing?
I am Thiago Taraíra. I live in a small town in the interior of Brazil. In this video, I will present to you from other countries who was our famous Brazilian comedian who simplified the cinemas in our country over 25 years, and to this day has a large legions of fans. One of them is me, of course, called WAS MAZZAROPI. As in USA and in England, that has Burt Keaton, the Three Stooges, Lauren Hardy, and the great Chaplin. Spain had Cantinflas. Here in Brazil, we had Mazzaropi. Mazzaropi was born on April 9, 1912 in an old two-story townhouse located on Vitorino Carmilo Street in the Santa Cecilia neighborhood in the city of São Paulo, son of an Italian immigrant named Bernardo Mazzaropi and Clara Mazzaropi, daughter of Portuguese. His name derives from the names of this paternal grandfather, Amácio, capito. But to become an easy name to speak in Brazil, he became
Amácio.
Cachorro, então você ia fugindo e me largando aqui no meio desses pestes?
Cachorro não, como é que eu ia levar você, mulher, pra nós não casemos ainda?
Aí quando minha mãe morreu e eu fiquei órfã, você prometeu de casar comigo.
Tá certo, mas essa noite também você sabe, né, o que aconteceu, né? Meu pai deu 2 arrancos, 3 pinotes e arrancou de uma vez. Agora como é que eu vou casar? Nós dois somos órfãos.
Mas agora é que dá certo.
Dá certo nada, meus irmãos me roubaram tudo. Olha a herança que eles me deram, um tacho, um ganso e um saco. Como é que nós vai casar? E o casamento responsa a muita habilidade.
Eu ajudo você a trabalhar, Pedro. Deixa eu ir. É só apanhar minha roupa.
Vai buscar sua roupa, vai.
Posso?
Pode.
Posso mesmo, Pedro?
Pode.
Eu não demoro.
Tá bom. Vai chorar na rampa.
His life from the beginning was not easy because he was poor. His father worked as a worker in a textile factory in a nearby city called Taubaté, where he went to live with his father and his mother. Clara made breads to help support the house and made little Mazzaropi sell it at the factory door where her father worked. Her mother, Clara, was a person who controlled the little money she earned while her husband, Bernardo Mazzaropi, had a bohemian life and was a dreamer. He liked to buy cashmere fabric to sell to the wealthy people and the time to see if he could raise more money. Mr. Bernardo was a great Italian operetta singer.
Te guardano cantate e te vanno tanto bene che volessero vasa.
Because there were many Italian immigrants at a time, São Paulo was a city mainly of immigrants. precisely because of the end of slavery and the end of the previous century. The country needed urgent manpower. As a teenager, Amácio walked the night in downtown Taubaté and saw people talking, drinking, laughing. Then he imagined he was at the top of the stage and imagining that people would laugh at his jokes. He leaned against while locked in the sink of a nightclub and imagined that he was with a Mazzaropi theater. At 18, Mazzaropi got to know to the theater and simply fell in love with the stage. He became #1 spectator in the city of Taubaté, watching all the plays at the Politeama Theater. Mazzaropi liked to watch bands and circus performances. In 1926, he left home to accompany the Faker Ferry at the Circus La Paz, showing his comedic gift the intervals of the Faker performance, when he made the audience laugh with his spicy jokes. In the 1930s, Amácio created Trupe Mazzaropi, convincing his parents to abandon the small bar they had opened, accompany him on his travels, acting as actors and helpers in his shows. When the 1940s arrived, Nino Nello created the Age of Pavilions as an outlet for popular theaters of the time, which had nowhere else to perform because of the arrival of spoken cinema. The pavilion was movable in structure. They were armed from city to city according to the presentations next to the railway line to have ease transportation from city to city. Mazzaropi's character was being polished over the years in the theater. He was based on the comedian of the time Sebastián Arruda and on his maternal grandfather named João José Ferreira, known as Portuguese, assimilate the hic form that would form his characters in the future, being very successful with his pavilion. In 1944, Mazzaropi had to deactivate his enterprise because his father had fallen. He spent everything he had with the treatment to pay the expenses and lost everything. Sometimes later, he was hired by renowned Nino Nello, who at the time was representative of the filodrama in Brazil, an Italian genre that influenced Mazzaropi a lot. The play Son of Shoemaker, Shoemaker Must Be, debuted in São Paulo, an Italian-Brazilian play that was very successful. In 1946, Mazzaropi started to work on the radio in his program called Cheerful Ranch on Tupi Radio in São Paulo, where he acted alongside his colleague who would be his fictional wife for more than 20 years, Jenny Prado. After the 1940s and early 1950s, Mazzaropi started acting on the TV within program Cheerful Ranch, where he worked for 7 years and consolidated his success, even working in Rio on an affiliated TV. In 1952, Mazzaropi was invited by producer Abílio Pereira de Almeida to act in the next film from Veracruz Film Company, where the role was written precisely for him, and after the casting tests, he was immediately chosen to act in the film Get Off of the Way.
Eu posso pegar o seu colega aí de trás para fazer um servicinho para mim?
Por que pegar o de trás?
É que a carga é pesada, são muitos volumes, é pra muito longe.
Que carga, que longe. Onde o dele vai, vai o meu. Onde vai o meu, o dele não vai. E onde o meu não vai, o dele vai, pronto.
Como é que eu não vou?
E pra onde é que você vai?
Bem, então vamos logo, não se fala mais nisso.
Sobe aí, vamos embora. Um, dois, três. O Anastácio é o maior do mundo. Coronel, sobe pro terraço. Vamos.
Mas como?
Isso é mudança de lua. Pula por cima.
Ai!
Não é nada, é vidro.
Meu chapéu!
Pera. Coronel, pega o chapéu do freguês. Coronel, sobe pro terraço.
Maior do mundo.
Tá ruim, hein, velho?
Mazzaropi had already said to some friends that TV used the comedian's imagine, but the cinema does not, because it is just one film a year and the public miss it. From that moment on, 19 more films are read. He established himself in Brazilian cinema at a time, and in 1959 he sold everything he had to open his all production company and started producing his all films, as he was tired of leaving other productions rich and he always poor. His films were tremendous successes. This even filled moving theater for weeks on end, and with his production company he started making real money, building a huge studio in the 60s in the city of Taubaté. He revolutionized cinema precisely by placing retiles at the cinema entrance next to the cashier to inspect how many people pay and enter the cinema, putting an end to the gap between the ticket agent and the cinema owner. His studio was the best kept at the time, importing how materials, lamps, films, and cameras directly from the USA. It was an investment that Mazzaropi did not think of saving above the best for his studio. His films were for the general public who liked to have a good laugh. Their same audience loved their films, and every January 55th, it was sacred for Mazzaropi to release a film of his own, as it was precisely the anniversary of São Paulo, and choose filed more film theaters by be a holiday in the city. Mazzaropi released his last film in 1908, called The Hillbilly and the Miraculous Mary, when he was already very ill and debilitated by spinal cancer, dying on June 30, 1981.
Você não vai dormir com essa égua. Esse lugar é meu.
Oi, mulher. Reconheça o seu estado e deixa nós em paz. Você já é do outro mundo.
Que outro mundo que nada, sua sem vergonha. Nem deixou meu lugar esfriar e já veio se meter nesta casa.
Ai! O que tá acontecendo, meu Deus do céu? Não vejo ninguém. O que tá acontecendo? Creio. Criador do céu e da terra, nasceu de Maria Viva, padeceu sob o poder de Pôncio Pilatos, foi crucificado, morto e sepultado, desceu aos infernos, ao terceiro dia surgiu dos mortos.
Vamos parar com essa bagunça aqui, gente? Ô São Pedro, que porteiro que você é? Vê se recolhe esses espíritos e deixa a gente em paz.
Critics have always dismissed Mazzaropi with all, even watching a single film of his. Mazzaropi died very recently because the Brazilian critic did not recognize his films as legitimate Brazilian reproductions and exclusive to the natural culture. Even after his death, Mazzaropi was not a piece because as soon as he died. His descent and no 15 cousins filed an injunction that cancelled the will in which Mazzaropi shared his enormous fortune with people who had helped him since the beginning of his career, even the sons of creation, Pérez Moreira and João Batista de Souza.
E assim mais tarde poderão voltar ao convívio da sociedade, sendo úteis à pátria e ao mundo.
Eu também não quero que eles cresçam ignorantes que nem eu. Mas eu gosto tanto deles e eles de mim que vai ser muito difícil a gente se separar.
Mas infelizmente não há outro jeito.
Tem jeito sim, o senhor arranja serviço pra mim aqui, assim nós não precisamos se separar.
Tá bem, Pedro, vou lhe arranjar serviço. Mas quem é essa moça?
Eu sou a noiva dele, se ele ficar eu também fico.
Você arranja emprego pra mim e pra ela, nós dois somos órfãos mesmo.
O senhor me arranja emprego? Eu tenho prática de criar galinha.
Eu arranjo emprego para os dois, mas com uma condição. Vocês vão se casar.
Currently, what remains of this great comedian is at the Mazzaropi Museum, located in the city of Taubaté, where he had set up his studio and where his film set was located, next to his farm. In the museum are pieces of films, cameras, posters, documents, and various objects that belonged to great filmmaker, the eternal Big Mazzaropi. I hope you have understood the video I tried to produce here, and I'm sorry for the poorly pronounced English because I still study the language. Thank you very much for your attention and sartei de banda!
Vai, vai!